Hello, welcome to IMO with me, Aaron Bastani. You can follow me on Twitter at Aaron Bastani. You can follow Novara Media on Twitter at Novara Media. Like, comment, and share this content under the hashtag IMO Bastani. Thanks for watching. So this week I want to talk about fully automated luxury communism. It's clear in the last 6 years that the economic system we live under isn't doing particularly well. As I spoke about the show before last, we know that all the growth since 2010 really in the United States and the United Kingdom is a consequence of quantitative easing, and that with the end of quantitative easing it's unclear where further growth is going to come from. We also know, besides that we are seeing a declining living standards. If you're in the UK, take-home pay for the average household has declined by about 8% since 2010. If you're in your 20s, your wages in terms of what they can buy have fallen on an hourly basis of 12%. Now those numbers might seem kind of flaky, but airy-fairy. They have no historical precedent in modern history. They have never happened before. They've not happened. Simple as that. That's before you talk about things like underemployment, unemployment. Again, continent of Europe really badly affected, but underemployment in the UK, very bad. People talk about job creation in the UK. 1 million jobs have been created since 2010 amongst the self-employed. That's the biggest group in terms of job creation in the UK. But they've also seen their wages fall the largest. Since 2006, the self-employed as a group have seen their wages fall by 20%. So even though we haven't got the unemployment rates of somewhere like Spain or Greece, the declines in wages we're seeing in the UK more than make up for that in terms of what's really unfolding since the crisis. The same is true for Germany. Alongside falling pay, declining living standards, rampant inflation for really important things, energy, food, transport. There's also, of course, as you probably all know, public account problems. So we're having big public sector deficits here in the UK. People talk about cuts to the public deficit. Again, it was something we touched upon in the show before last. The UK has a deficit of more than £100 million a year, and massive, unprecedented cuts to public spending aren't really addressing it. They're not really dealing with it. But public sector deficits are also a big problem in the United States, and again, much of the Eurozone. They're huge, and these cuts aren't really cutting it, literally. So it's clear that this is a really big problem. It's a crisis that's going to last for decades. I think it's terminal. I think it's going to last forever. And so given the scale of that crisis, you look around and you say, well, who has the answers? You look at Russell Brand, Parklife. You look at the Labour Party. You look at the Conservatives, the Lib Dems, the SNP even. And do they have the answers for all these things we're talking about? Historically unprecedented declining pay, huge public sector deficits, declining productivity, profitability, all these things. Now, I don't really care about profitability, but that's a problem if you're a capitalist, right? Do they have any solutions? Do they have any ideas? And are those ideas embedded in the reality that surrounds us? I'm not so sure. And that's where fully automated luxury communism comes in, because it builds upon a very key presumption, but also observation that surrounds us, right? Which is this. Increasing spheres of work are no longer performed by humans, but instead of being automated. Intuitive examples are two. I'll give you two. First one, self-service checkouts in supermarkets, right? You go to Sainsbury's, you go to Tesco, and you put your thing through the self-service checkout. You probably take a few things as well, right? Yeah. You take 2 croissants, you pay for one, whatever. We've all done it. Self-service checkouts, that used to be performed by a human being, and now it's being performed by a machine. It's been automated. That is just a microcosm of a process that essentially characterizes capitalism. An increasing amount of work is done by non-humans, by fixed capital, by automation, algorithms, rather than variable capital, wage labourers. Another great example in the UK is the underground. So at the moment there's this huge debate about automating the tube system. London Underground system, right? Driverless trains. And driverless trains will obviously happen at some point in the 21st century. Question is when they'll be safe enough. I mean, they will obviously at some point be probably safer than what we currently have. That will probably happen at some point. The question is when, obviously. So there's this big debate about automating the tubes. And in my view, automation, when it serves people and not profit, is what we call progress. The problem is, under capitalism, it's not about serving people, it's about serving profit. It's about increasing profitability. It's about cutting costs. It's not about cutting the hours worked by people, increasing people's leisure time, and that's what it should be about, right? So if you automate the tube, it shouldn't be about making thousands of people redundant. It should instead be about saying you get the same amount of pay, but you now work a 10 or 12-hour week. And those are trends throughout the economy. And in the next several decades, there's a bunch of studies out there which say, look, we basically aren't going to have enough jobs. Everything's being automated. You've got algorithms making trades on stock exchanges, and then you've got algorithms writing about these algorithms making trades in Forbes magazine. Algorithms writing about algorithms. And that's just the beginning. So when we talk about drones, automated distribution, driverless cars, automated agriculture and so on and so forth, the question is, how many jobs are there going to be? Because these are two things that every politician, journalist, regime lackey wants to talk about. Two things I want to talk about. They say automation changes everything. Yes, it does. It does. Automation changes everything. We've got to create jobs. Right? And actually, these are two competing realities. The point is that automation eliminates jobs from the production process, and you want to create jobs is problematic because why? If something automated is doing something that a human was previously doing, why would you want to automate that? That seems ridiculous. It seems bizarre. It's like saying job creation. Let's smash up all the tractors and get people out to cut the fields themselves. This is nonsensical. Who'd want to do that? So the kind of imperative behind fully automated luxury communism is this. You recognize the reality of capitalism and you say, well, look, this actually creates the possibility for massively reduced work, a post-work society, if you will. So it's quite clear to me that if you look at the trends, this decade, the next decade, there's no reason why we couldn't have a 10, 12, 15-hour working week. And that could be expedited either through a massively increased minimum wage, guaranteed social wage, maximum working week, maybe a combination of all three. So you'd be working 10, 12, 15 hours a week. Now, what does that mean? 10, 12, 15 hours a week. A lot of people out there will say, well, that would just be terrible, be awful. People would just be sitting on their asses doing nothing. Oh, maybe they would, I don't know. I don't think most people would actually. I think most people would see their humanity, their creativity unleashed. I mean, imagine, you work a 12-hour week, and what do you do the rest of your time? You don't just have one career, one vocation, one language, one life. You have, half a dozen. You could retrain as a mechanical engineer, as a neuroscientist, as a chef, as a carpenter, as a painter and decorator, as a personal trainer, as a car mechanic, as an astrophysicist. You could learn French, Swahili, or Hausa, Brazilian Portuguese. You could learn tango, flamenco, you name it. Right? That's what literally the life of meaning is, and that's what fully automated luxury communism is about. It's about experiencing and realizing one's humanity. That cannot be done through wage labor. That can only be achieved through what one might call organic living labor, which is mixing one's labor with the world, but not under compulsion of earning a wage, because that's never really done many people a favor. So that is what fully automated luxury communism is about. It's about observing the world around us, and it's about seeing all these processes, all these realities, the fundamental reality of capitalism, which is fixed capital replacing variable capital, automation replacing wage labor, and saying, hey, hang on a minute, let's take that and run with it, and let's change the world. What do you think? Please put your thoughts below in the comments. If you're working 12 hours a week, what would you do the rest of your time? I know I do, I'm going to put it down there. Okay, that's all for this week. Like, share, comment on this video. Fully automated luxury communism, because nothing is too good for the working class. Bye.